There was some other good quarterback play this weekend from other top. This first of all, this class coming out has a chance to be like really, really good in terms of the guys, just the sheer number of guys that are coming out and like players that could be in consideration potentially to be the top quarterback. We're going to see that whole every year this happens. You get one guy who's the consensus. It's kind of playing out right now because I think Arch is kind of the consensus. It was if he was coming out, he would be the guy in everybody's minds, and that's not probably going to happen. But there's always the consensus guy during the season, and then the season ends, and everyone's diving more into the tape and the film study gurus and the people that used to be scouts and people like Dane Brugler who comes up with his own like the Beast. The big book that he puts out with all the prospect breakdowns in it. It all changes. You get to in February, all of a sudden somebody else is rising up draft boards, and then by April, when the draft's only a month away, now there's like a late push from this quarterback, and it always just kind of changes. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out throughout the course of this season because there's a lot of guys that are going to be, I think, in the mix for being the top quarterback taken. But I think it'd be a fun exercise here with Arch. Now, sort of out of our minds for 2026, what we think the Browns quarterback big board should look like. So I'll concede to you first here and let you have the floor to start us off. Maybe we go. I mean, let's just start with who's at the top of it. We'll kind of go that direction because I don't know if we want to do like if you have 4, if you have 5. I kind of have 3 guys in mind, but we can keep going.
I think I have 6.
You're counting a lot of people here. Wow. Okay. But I'll let you start us off. Who would be at the top of the Browns quarterback big board for you after week 1 of the college football season?
Yes, Spencer, because only in Cleveland, the week of the first regular season NFL game, do we talk quarterbacks in next year's draft. So my top off the rip, because as we established last segment, it doesn't look like Arch Manning's coming out in 2026. So they're going to have to tank for Arch in 2027 if that's what their plan is. If, you know, the
so what
leash
does that
on
mean?
everybody.
Another year of Joe. Honestly, though, like...
Another year of Joe Flacco. We can Daniel Jones, maybe? Does that interest you?
This is actually an interesting thing because if the Browns really, really did want Arch, and I'm not saying they're going to wait that long, but this kind of leads into what we talked about a little bit on Saturday, too. The idea that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry's leash might not be long enough to get to 2027.
Yeah.
But if they decide, hey, we want to be patient with these 2 guys that we have on the roster already, let's see what Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders have. Then maybe 2026 becomes the Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders season, and you see if you found a franchise quarterback in either of those guys. And then if you stink, you get a new coach in here, and you might have another top 5 pick or top 2 pick or whatever, and then they can get a chance to draft Arch Manning, and then you set the stage for getting the quarterback that maybe Browns fans actually want in the long run if that ends up being the guy. But I do think the wing kind of got taken out of those sales this week.
Yeah, and then you can use one of the 2 first-round picks next year to trade down for another first-round pick in 27. That way you can get Arch and Jeremiah Smith.
There you go. You just keep stockpiling the picks. You just kick the can down the road with the first-round pick.
All right, so instead of filibustering anymore, my number 1 for the Cleveland Browns, as it has always been since March, is Lenoris Sellers. The dude from South Carolina is a baller. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school, committed to Syracuse, then committed to South Carolina.
Still salty about that?
Still salty about that. He has incredible speed. He has an incredible arm. Like, I'm thinking a Josh Allen type. Like, this dude is absolutely baller, and he beat a really good Virginia Tech team last week. Looking good.
What was interesting about... So, I really like Sellers, by the way, and he will be on my list somewhere. But what I thought was interesting was Virginia Tech showed him some things. After that initial... They had the first drive where they like marched down the field and scored, and it was like, okay, this game's going to be like light work for Lenoris Sellers.
Yeah.
And then Virginia Tech started disguising their coverages a little bit more, and you could tell he was having some issues. Like, he couldn't quite pick up things. But then you got to the second half, and you could tell like the wheels were starting to turn a little bit more, where he was like, okay, now I'm seeing it. And he had more success in the second half, had the great touchdown, that deep touchdown pass. There was that one drive where they 2 times this weekend, they had touchdowns taken off the board that should not have been touchdowns. The LSU game, that brilliant throw from Garrett Nussmeier, And then that throw that Sellers made that also should have been a touchdown where they said he didn't complete the catch. That was another amazing throw. And that drive, I thought Sellers had like 2 or 3 throws that I was like, whoa, next level throws. I really like Lenore Sellers. After this weekend, he would be number 2 on my big board for me because I think he's up there. My biggest question with him is he somebody that fits Kevin Stefanski's system?
Probably
is my
not.
biggest question. And so that's where I think he's an interesting one because if you're drafting him and Kevin Stefanski's still here, I don't know. If you're getting a new coach, though, then it's a different story. I would love to have Lenore Sellers in Cleveland. My number 1, though, is the guy that I sort of mentioned in my conversation of Lenore Sellers. I think, based off of how he played against Clemson, I think Garrett Nussmeier right now is like the grand prize of this class. He's going to be the one that all these scouts and everybody look at and says he's got the quarterback traits. He does all the things that you're looking for from a pocket passing quarterback. He was this. There's the people I trust who really are tapped into, especially like college football. They were calling that his best game as a starter at LSU. And he had some good games last year, but they were saying this was his best game as a starter. And so I found that interesting. There were some really amazing throws in that game. It was against a good team, so yeah, like they didn't score a ton, but that happens when you're playing against a really good Clemson team and a really good Clemson defense. I thought he was great, and I think he showed you why he probably should be the guy in this class that everyone's kind of racing for at this juncture. But I think Sellers is a close second. Those 2 for me are 1 and 2 with a bullet after the first weekend of college football.
Yeah, Nussmeier was my number 2. And if that BS call goes the other way, like the way that it should have on that touchdown call.
That throw was incredible.
It was beautiful. I was seeing all over social media after, certain plays, like, okay, he's accurately diagnosing the defenses. Yeah. He's like checking in and out of plays like an NFL style quarterback. Yeah. He has the intangibles like Drew Aller does. It seems like he has the mental prowess to like handle stuff like that when they start to disguise coverages. I can't wait to see what he looks like once they get into SEC play. Obviously,
he's going to benefit from coming back in the extra year for sure.
I put a future on LSU to make the college football playoff this year because I think for sure they're going to make it. Like they could even go 10-2 and still make it, but I think they're going to have a baller year. He's a guy that you definitely look at, and he's a quarterback. Like he's Drew Aller with actual talent, like actual NFL level talent.
Whoa! So, oh man,
I'm sorry
don't forget
to the people
that Drew
in Medina.
Aller's family lives pretty close to home. Here.
I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Aller.
This is going to end up like Drew Aller. This is going to end up like Nick Wilson, who thought he was going to have to fight Mitch Trubisky's family the one time because he was talking crap about Mitch Trubisky on the air, and then he left the station, and there was like a bunch of people in Bears garb in the like lobby of the Halley building, and he was like this. They were like looking at him funny, and he was like, "This might be Drew Aller, or not Drew Aller. This might be
Mitch Trubisky's family." Yeah.
And he thought he was going to have a situation on his hands.
But to me, Drew Aller is Daniel Jones. Garrett Nussmeier is on par or close to, not on par with, but looks to be a Peyton Manning. So I'm looking at Daniel Jones versus Peyton Manning. Yeah. So that's why Aller's not even number 1, 2, or 3 for me.
By the way, on the broadcast yesterday for the South Carolina game, they were talking about Lenore Sellers like NFL comp, which, to be clear, I hate NFL comps because it's the Arch thing. It's the Arch thing. Because he's a Manning, we're like, he's going to be Peyton. He's going to be Eli. Just let him be Arch. We don't have to do this. But the name they threw out was Josh Allen. And I was like, well, damn. They're not wrong because he's got the strong arm. He's got the mobility, all those different things. But like that entices me. But yes, I think Nussmeier solidified himself this weekend as the number 1 guy in this class, at least at this juncture. And again, this is why we're going to do this exercise, because week to week it might change.
So
next week it might be Lenore Sellers. Number 3 for me was going to be Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. I was the degenerate that was up watching that game till like pretty much the very end on ESPN. I also found out, by the way, I didn't know this, that Jalen Tyson's brother is a wide receiver at Arizona State, and he's actually really good. They were talking about him like potentially being a first-round pick, and how they're trying to fulfill this like prophecy of like there's only been like a handful of people who have like siblings have gotten drafted in the first round in different sports or something like that. So Jalen Tyson was at the game. They like did a cutaway to him where they showed Jalen Tyson with his family watching his brother. So I was like, well, that's cool. So I learned something, and I thought Sam Levitt played pretty well. He had a really bad interception at one point in that game. Where he just didn't see the defender, and I was like, But I think overall, like he has the stuff that you're looking for. So for me, he was number 3.
I do have to admit, I did not watch that game. I was watching Arizona and Hawaii. But I like Sam Levitt. He has that big game ability. I just wonder if the pocket is speeding up on him a little bit too much. Like I did see that a little bit last year. Other than that, like Fernando Mendoza was fine at Indiana. Cade Klubnik was the guy that like I wasn't super high on to begin with. I was not particularly impressed by him.
No, he looked. Yeah, I was gonna say as we were talking about Nussmeier. I thought like the opposite of that. The opposite of Nussmeier was Klubnik, and Klubnik struggled. He struggled to see the defense. Just didn't see the field very well. I agree. I was expecting more from him. I mean, I get it. You're playing a tough LSU defensive team, but he's got some work to do, I think, for the rest of the season because I thought that was a rough start for him.
And Klubnik's a guy that they were talking about right next to, like, if Arch isn't the guy that's 1-1, Klubnik can be that guy.
Well, Klubnik doesn't have, like, the elite trait necessarily.
Yeah.
But they said he's just, like, sort of steady. Like, and that interests me. But I just don't know if I'm there yet with him. I got to see more first.
That's it. If you're going for scheme fit, Klubnik might be the guy.
Honestly, if we're doing this exercise like week to week, the way we are, I'd probably have to say Aller was 4, just based off of how this weekend went.
Just because it was Nevada and who cares?
And he was just lighting them up like you'd expect. He actually had receivers that he could throw the ball to. So did we miss anybody? Is there anybody that you really wanted to hit on that's on your list?
No. I mean, Mac Robinson was like super high on the Michigan State quarterback. I don't care. That's the most 5th round quarterback I've ever seen.
Most 5th round quarterback. Like, I am curious what you think this year is about for the Browns, Anthony, because they obviously are trying to win, at least initially. But they also have a very young team that they're trying to see grow and develop in front of their eyes. And it's not just the quarterback position. It's Carson Schlesinger. It's Mason Graham. It's at some point maybe Quinshon Judkins if he's back in the building. They want to see what these guys look like and if they are cornerstone players for them moving forward. And so all those things come into play. But it applies to the quarterbacks as well because you have these 2 young quarterbacks that you're hoping at some point you're going to see. For me, I go into this year feeling like if you don't get a sense of those 2 guys and you don't get to see them play at least a little bit, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because you got to know where you're at that position. You got to know what you're doing in the draft next year as we talk about these quarterbacks that are coming out and if taking another one is the viable play. So I would say the goal should be finding out what you have in those 2 quarterbacks and the rest of this rookie class to sort of build your team for the future. But their priorities seem to be a little bit different here. Where are you in terms of what the goal should be for the Browns in 2025?
I mean, obviously, the easy answer is saying, do you have anything in either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders? But barring that doesn't happen, like all of that we were hearing leading up to the draft was that it's not a stars draft, it's a starters draft. So you're going to draft guys like Mason Graham, like Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fannin, and a couple of the other guys that they brought in that you can plug in and they're going to be here for 5 to 7 years. So I really want to see the growth of those guys so that you're able to effectively use those 2 first-round picks next year. We all sort of assume it's going to be on a quarterback, but like neither of these rookies really need to work out for it to be a successful season, quote unquote. Like as long as your Grahams and Schlesingers and those guys work out this year and Quinshon, if he ends up getting back to playing, that's what I will be very happy about going forward because then you can build your team around whatever rookie quarterback you start next year. Like, do you think it has to be figuring out whether or not these guys are the answer?
It's not that I think, because ultimately saying that you have to find out if they're the answer, I think is a bit too far because I don't know, even if one of them was given the whole year, we might then know by the end of the year if we think that guy is the answer, but we probably wouldn't know that the other one is. I think the goal here needs to be, because getting the answer takes time. And they've even said that, right? Like, That's why we rattled off on Saturday all the quarterbacks that it took them a year or two to sort of play football, right? Like before they actually got a chance to start. I think you have to get a sense of whether or not you think either of these two guys can be that quarterback for you. You're not going to find that out let's just say there's 9 games left after Joe Flacco gets pulled for them to split. You're not going to find that out in 5 games or 4 games or even probably 9 games if it all goes to Dillon Gabriel first. But you have to at least get some sense of, okay, where are we with these two guys? Are they worth investing in next year where instead of using those picks on a quarterback or one of those picks on a quarterback, we're going to draft players to support this quarterback and make the team better in other areas? Or do we have to go all in on the quarterback position? So I guess my feeling on my goal for the season is figuring out what direction you're heading at the quarterback position is priority number 1.
Right.
Absolutely. I think what you mentioned is the other part of this. These rookie guys you brought in, are they viable NFL players? Are they going to be here long term? Can they fit certain roles? Is Carson Schlesinger going to be a great linebacker? You're developing and growing your team that way. But I think the number 1 priority for this team has to be figuring out in 2026, what direction are we going at quarterback? Are we investing in Shador? Are we investing around Dillon? Or are we drafting another quarterback because we don't think either of those guys are going to get us to where we need to go?
Yeah, I just don't think it's like a make or break year for the quarterback position. Like, we're not the New York Giants who drafted a quarterback in the first round. This isn't the Tennessee Titans. Like, you don't really have an answer at quarterback at this point in time. So neither of them need to work out for me to feel like this season was a success or a failure. If one of them works out, and like Mary Kay Cabot was on yesterday and said it sounds like they're prepping Dillon Gabriel to play a significant chunk of time this year.
I think if you get rid of Kenny Pickett, that's probably the goal.
Right. So if you play
to
him
your point,
and you find out, like,
if he's playing a significant amount of time, like we talked about the other day, where does that leave Shador Sanders? Like, this season could
on the dust.
Season could unfold where it goes Flacco through week 9, and then after the bye week, you come back and you hand the keys to Dillon Gabriel and say, all right, you get the rest of the year unless you get hurt, and then we don't see Shador Sanders at all. I'm just preparing people for that being a real possibility of something that plays out. That's all.
But if neither of these guys work out this year specifically, I don't think you can call it a failure of a season.
I would say that's probably fair if you find, because again, my biggest thing, finding out where you're at that position. What are you doing at that position moving forward? If you find out, okay, we got to go get another guy, then I think that's successful in some respects.